Hello everybody. I did not die. I just got really bad COVID. It actually is so bad I can't taste hot sauce anymore. I don't know if that's gonna come back, but that was such an important part of my life. So I'm really grieving that loss. But I'm gonna be okay, and I'm back, and this video should have gone out like a long time ago because we are well into January. But I want to do a tier list breakdown ranking of every horror, thriller, sci-fi, disturbing movie that either was in theaters in 2024 or came out in 2024. But before I talk about that, I just want to have a moment of silence, a moment of appreciation for how many movies came out this year or last year. Why are there so many good horror movies all of a sudden? It's like, it used to be like you're frothing at the mouth for one single horror movie to come out. And then I'm going through this list and it's like a complete lineup of like really, really good releases. So I don't know what happened, what we did to deserve that, but I just don't want that to go unnoticed because that's the only good thing about what's going on in the world right now. So another disclaimer. If you haven't noticed so far on my channel, I categorize horror as an umbrella that includes many other genres, like specifically sci-fi, anything with like a few deaths in it I consider like in the horror umbrella. Anything that isn't explicitly like a comedy or explicitly like a feel-good movie. A lot of them have like horror elements that are really extreme, and weirdly, some movies aren't even categorized as horror at all, and they have like major death and just like disturbing stuff in them. I was scrolling for so long on IMDb trying to make sure I didn't miss any movies that I saw. I was getting to Spirit Whisker, The Revenant, and The Summer We Died. Sometimes it's the summer that you die. And all opinions are my own flawed and human opinion. So I'm not perfect, and some of these rankings you're going to get angry with me about. I'm just going to be completely honest because that's the beauty of me not being a film critic. I can say whatever I want with no repercussion or consequence. That's how that works. I'm just really hoping that there's enough fucking room on the screen for the huge tier graphic I'm going to put up. It probably is covering half my face. You're probably like doing something else anyway. You're not even watching. So I'm going to describe what each of these tiers means to me. S tier for me is it's like the best movie I've ever watched in my life. If something's on the S tier in this list, in this like 2024 breakdown, it means when I was watching it in the theater, I was getting so excited and overstimulated with how happy I was that I almost started crying. And I'm not joking. I really like movies. A tier is gonna be super good, would recommend, but not making me like happy. Like I wasn't happy to be alive when I walked out like of the theater or I finished watching it. It wasn't like reinvigorating my lust for life the way that the S tier movies are. B is a great movie. Again, like A, B are awesome 5-star movies, but B, maybe I didn't super resonate with the aesthetic choices or the character development or the plot. It has nothing to do with the movie. It's just I personally wasn't obsessed with it. I wasn't obsessed with one choice, like whether that be like one specific thing about the movie. That could be wardrobe design, that could be music. There's tons of different things that make me not obsessed with the movie. I'm gonna describe what it is, but that's a B. C is the first of the dooms. C is a doom and it's not recommend, not gonna watch again. And it has a fundamental few flaws, but it's still a passable movie. So the movie isn't an affront to God. It just isn't for me or most of the people I think that watch these kind of videos. I feel like C is going to be disappointing for majority of audiences. Some people might get some things out of it because it's a good movie, but it's not going to be satiating for most people. D is it for doom. No, it's pissing me the fuck off. Something about it's pissing me the fuck off, whether that's horrible plot, horrible something, or it just has a message that I fundamentally think is weird or wrong. That's going in the D for Doom. Hate it, don't like it, but it's still a movie. It might have, like when I mean it's still a movie, I mean it has some things about it that are like, I need to respect it. Some movies are very, very, very well adored and loved. And I need to respect that, even if I hate the movies. Specifically, this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but I dislike Old Boy and The Handmaiden. They're the same director. Those two movies I very much dislike. I think they are gross and I dislike them a lot. And I've really tried to like them too. That's the worst part. But I need to respect the director is loved. So that would go in a D for me because I need to give it one level of respect because the director is loved or the actors did a really good job or there's good cinematography, something. E is no man's land. You're screaming, your family is dead. Everyone's dead. You're screaming for your life. You're terrified. You're literally in a dark room with no food or water. E is like, I'm actually feel like this is an affront to God. This movie's so bad. And I think I'm pissed the fuck off that it got made. And I wish that they donated the money to charity instead because it was stupid and a waste of my time. I've only encountered a few E's in my life. I don't know if any are gonna be on the E tier because I genuinely wasn't ranking them when I was making my list of the movies, but you know what? Maybe one will really surprise me, really pull through. E also could be if I'm emotionally damaged by the movie because it was so fucking disrespectful. I genuinely, when I saw Jake Gyllenhaal in that bald head with those glasses on it, I actually got chills of fear. I haven't watched that cop movie with him yet, but like, I'm not going to because it would go into this category. I have chills. I'm so afraid of bald Jake Gyllenhaal. Literally save me. So Maxine for me is going in the S tier. I don't even care. Everyone says Maxine is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Maxine, I actually wanted, like, I hated this movie so much. I think you guys don't know how to have fun. And I think, yes, are there huge plot issues in the way that I wish it was written a little bit differently? Yes. But genuinely, if Maxine came out 5-6 years ago, it would be the belle of the ball. And I think that Ty West set the bar so fucking high for himself that people have these expectations that like are impossible to fulfill. And also it plays into a lot of 80s slasher nostalgia, and you need to love that to like Maxine. And I get it. Like, I understand not liking it. I just think people are not giving it any kind of benefit of the doubt. They're also not taking into account that Ty West just created an iconic horror trilogy with an iconic character that's not been done in a really long time. Actually, think of the last horror trilogy that was done super well with like an iconic character. Obviously Terrifier. I don't know why I have to bring up Terrifier in every single video, but yeah, they did it. But Maxine is like actual Scream Queen iconic character. How many times has that been done? When? Also, I did an analysis of this because I think culturally it was just like really poignant, and I think culturally it was important. So that's going in the S tier. It probably should be an A if I was thinking about it not with my emotions, but unfortunately I have emotions. And I also have to say I was in the theater and I was smiling the entire movie. I was just so happy. So that's going in S tier for me. Next I have Y2K. Again, Y2K didn't get its flowers. I don't know why. I don't know why people were expecting it to be Hereditary. It's really not. It's a horror comedy and it's fucking funny. I think it's gonna go an A for me. When I actually first saw the previews of it, I was like, get her out of here. Get her out of here. I very much disliked her acting in The Hunger Games. I very much disliked it. And I'm not being a hater. I think she's a wonderful person. I think she's very beautiful. But her acting in Songbird Ballad of... What the fuck? I read the book. I don't know. I'm forgetting what it's called. I literally read the book. But I'm obsessed with Suzanne Collins as like a writer, and then her acting just made it seem like it was a Disney Channel original series, and that has a time and a place. Her kind of like naive kind of acting style, I don't know if it's like childish, not childish in a way that she's not skilled, just childish in the way that it belongs in like a children's show. That belongs in Y2K perfectly because it's a comedy. Like, it's literally a comedy. Perfect. She was amazing in Y2K. I loved it. I just think she was a really bad choice for the other movies. Anyway, I had my qualms about Y2K when I saw the previews. I'm like, now I'm fucking pissed off. But it was really, really good. It was so funny. I think it just got categorized wrong. I think like when Jennifer's Body came out, people were thinking it was a different kind of movie, got really bad reviews. I think Y2K is like our super bad, and I actually stand by that. And I know that the director is problematic, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but it's really funny, unfortunately. It's hilarious, and I was laughing the entire time, so I don't know. Next, I have The Front Room, and this was an A24 horror release that nobody talked about. I saw it because I was feeling super depressed, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the movies, I'm gonna see a movie, and it was such a fun surprise. It was disgusting, it was shocking, and it scratched my disturbing movie kind of gore itch that I need scratched sometimes. It's going in A for me. I know this is gonna be unpopular, but if you're a total freak who likes weird movies, this one literally goes all the way, and that's something that a lot of movies don't do. It also had some gorgeous religious imagery in it that was really fun to watch, beautifully done, and scary scenes that I didn't expect to be scared by. I didn't expect to be screaming, laughing because I was so freaked out and grossed out. And there's a lot of poop things going on, which is another level of gross. I was not only screaming because of that, I was screaming because a lot of the stuff was really scary. Next, I have Don't Move. This one really pissed me off. Unimaginably boring. For a movie about a woman who gets paralyzed through a poison and she's getting chased by a serial killer who, for that kind of movie, you would think it would be interesting, and it's just so incredibly boring. Maybe if you've never seen a scary movie in your life, this would be great, but it's literally going in D for me because it was pissing me the fuck off. I don't even think I can think of one redeeming quality, and this is really strange. Like this, I'm gonna say something really kind of weird, and you can correct me if this is insensitive to say, because I might be the friend that's too woke. The only standout kind of scene that sticks out of my mind was this extremely gruesome killing scene, and it just was like really weirdly kind of violent for the tone of the movie so far, because the tone of the movie was like Netflix original, kind of silly, like, and then this extremely brutal killing almost seemed like racially motivated or something. It was really fucking weird. I just hated the movie, honestly. I thought it was really strange. No one got killed like the guy did that got killed in a really gruesome way. I don't know. That might be sensitive. Hated it, did not like it. All I ask is that you kill everyone with equal violence. Is that too much to ask of my slasher movie? I don't want it to feel like you're targeting one specific group of people. Next, I have Heretic, don't know how to pronounce it. I spend most of my time on the computer, so I don't know. I don't really go outside to hear people talk about stuff. This was incredibly disappointing for me in a lot of ways, but Hugh Grant was so good, and it has to go, I think, in B just because Hugh Grant's performance was amazing. But I had some major issues with the way that the movie was. Like, just the plot didn't really make sense, and it had no real ending that kind of was satisfying. And I don't know, I just felt like it was a short film connected to another short film, and they merged them together into a movie with Hugh Grant doing an incredible performance. That's all I have to say about that. Next, I have Skincare, and this is more of a drama thriller. It's about a true story about a woman literally losing her entire life, unravels, her skincare business unravels, she goes crazy. I am a sucker for this kind of stuff. I love these kind of movies. Unfortunately, this one was just kind of flat. Like it had all the right pieces, but it just fell super flat. In my opinion, I said this on Letterboxd, but I just think the actress was too beautiful and perfect to play a woman whose life is totally unraveling, because I was thinking in the back of my head, at least you're beautiful, like you're so beautiful, like you can do this. There's this thing that happens in movies where every woman has to look as attractive as possible, and that I think downplays a lot of the horror and trauma and drama that comes from your life literally unraveling and you're still looking extremely beautiful. I'm like, I'm not convinced. Like, if you aren't a woman, it's like, imagine if every dude was like, had the American Psycho perfect vibe. even when he was going through the worst day of his life. He looked like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. That, you know, it just doesn't have that like effect to it that I want. So this one is going in C. Next we have Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney. This one, don't kill me, think deserved more praise, and I think it didn't get as much praise because The First Omen wrongly overshadowed it. And by that I mean Immaculate is a perfect movie for what it is. It's going in A tier for me because it's not perfect in the way that I like absolutely loved it at S tier, but it has all the parts working exactly as they should. The movie is scary and it's satisfying and it's gory and it's disturbing and it has really great acting in it, and I loved the ending. Not as enjoyable to watch at home. In the theater it was so good, but at home a lot of the things didn't translate to my TV, and that just might be kind of me putting it in A tier because of that. Next, Sting. This was a creature feature.
Featuring The Creature.
It got overshadowed by Infested, which I have yet to see, and it's a spider creature feature. These affect me in a way that, like, I'm so arachnophobic. Sting, I was screaming and I was so having the best time of my life. The practical effects were incredible. You can tell that they used all practical pretty much. It's like basically no CGI. Just good, like fun. And I really want to see that spider in real life that they made with a puppet or whatever. Just like a really nice classic monster feature. I am always going to go see a monster feature like this in the theater. I'm putting this in A tier, and that's unpopular. I saw a lot of reviews like that where it was just like, oh, this is like so corny and stupid, but that's kind of the point of a monster feature about spiders. Like, did it entertain me? Yes, that was its only job. Next is Blink Twice, and Blink Twice was so good. I feel like I'm just saying that over and over again, but we had so many great movies this year. The complaints I'm seeing about it is like, oh, why did they put a trigger warning in the front? And then people were complaining that the actual essay scenes were too graphic or whatever. And it's like, they gave you a trigger warning. Also, to romanticize an essay scene or to make it any less impactful and graphic than it is in real life that happens to real people, disrespectful. Disrespectful, and you shouldn't watch horror movies if you don't want horrible things to happen. Just pissing me the fuck off. This movie like created a lot of questions for people about horror movies because so many big actors were in it. It just like was a huge movie for a wide audience that usually horror doesn't really get. So there was a lot of people chiming in with stupid opinions. Like stupid opinions like literally horror movies are demonic. I saw that one a lot, whatever. The characters felt so real, especially the working class women, just the way that they interacted with each other. Favorite part, and I saw it like twice in the theater because it was so good and so fun to watch. So it's going in S tier. I will rewatch this a lot. Like I can see myself rewatching it a lot because it's so freaky and terrifying. My ranking of VHS Beyond is going to piss everybody off to the absolute max. I do not care. The inventiveness of the Alien short where this woman is abducted by aliens and she's literally getting ripped apart and put back together by their medical technology. That is the most inventive and horrifying horror concept I've seen in years. That's incredible. The fact that no one's giving her the credits for that and saying, this is the worst VHS movie. No, it's not. It's not the worst VHS movie, I can tell you that. Justin Long created a short that is so horrifying. I need to put this in S tier for the love of the game. I need to. I don't know how I can come away from being so horrified and my skin was crawling in a horror movie and not give it the S tier. This is a horror movie in its truest form. It's original. There's concepts in here that are not as good as the other ones, but they don't overshadow the incredible concepts in here. I just think if you didn't get scared by VHS Beyond, I think you're not locking in because the concepts of VHS Beyond are they're beyond, but for real they're scary. It's going in S tier and I don't even care. Imaginary Blumhouse movie. It's the only Blumhouse movie I went and saw this year, 2024. I don't like Blumhouse. I don't like Blumhouse. I think they make movies for people that don't like horror movies that much, and that's totally fine. It's just not for me at all. I'm more of a Neon enjoyer, to be completely honest. That's my favorite production studio right now, but Imaginary was total balls. It was balls, and it reminded me how much Blumhouse movies are total buns, and like it was so bad. There was a scene where somebody's wife was in the mirror. They were like, the wife and the husband were looking into the mirror, and the wife is putting on his beaded necklace. Like he wears these huge wooden chunky beads, and he's like a rock star. He's like a hippie rock star, hippie rocker. And like she's putting on his wooden beads in the mirror, and then she says, "You're gonna do great," or something like that. And then he goes in his Uber in the back seat with one guitar and leaves for tour. Yeah, you're going in E. You're going in, get the fuck out of my face. And yes, was it funny to watch? Yes. Was it funny to watch in a way that it was a good movie? No, it was funny to watch because it was horrifically bad. It was horrible. Okay, stop motion was one of the most impressive movies of 2024. Just the motion design of it, the creative direction of it, the real meat that they used, the storyline original as fuck. Loved it. Going in A tier. Wasn't my absolute favorite, but it is such a good movie. I think I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd, which it deserves. It was genuinely emotionally exhausting because of how dark it was. It was a great theater watch. I actually like went out of my way to go to the indie theater to see this in the theater because I knew from the reviews I was seeing from people I trust, it was gonna be a banger, and it was a banger. It was a boom. It was really good. Freaky, gross, went all the way with so much of the gore and the disturbing nature of it. Just lately movies don't want to go all the way. So that's why the Front Room is on the same level as stop motion, because these two movies are so disgusting in such a visceral way. I actually felt bad for the actors, to be honest. In a Violent Nature is very misunderstood to me. It's going in S tier, and I'm really sorry. It's going in S tier for one reason, along with the beautiful cinematography, the originality of it, you know, whatever. It's going in S tier because I have not been scared, genuinely fearful, and not like playfully fearful. I was genuinely very afraid watching this movie. I have never understood slashers that much because, like, I'm talking about classic slashers. I'm not a Friday the 13th girl. Like, stuff like that doesn't scare me. And I never understood the appeal to a lot of the older classic horror movies because I wasn't scared of the villain. I didn't care. But something about In a Violent Nature made me genuinely fearful, and it was hard to watch the movie because I was so afraid. And to think of like that villain in real life is a lot. That's way too much for me. Genuinely scared of that villain. And like the chaos of him just killing for no reason, it's crazy. You can argue with me, totally get it. If it didn't scare you, it probably shouldn't go in S tier, but for me, it really did scare me. A Quiet Place Day One is going next, right next to Don't Move, because I was bored and it was a bad movie, and it shouldn't. These two, it feels like the movie like director should have directed a different type of movie. A Quiet Place Day One is not a horror movie. It's like, it's an edgy movie. It's not scary. It's really quite dumb. And there's an adorable, talented, multifaceted, beautiful, glamorous, amazing, gorgeous cat who steals the entire show away. What about the monsters? What about the apocalypse or dystopia? No one's looting anything. No one's freaking out. It's just a couple like with a cat, and there's a random English guy. Like, I hated it. I actually hated it. And I genuinely regret going to the movie theater to see it. That's not like me because I love going to the movie theater. That's my favorite activity. I regret going to see that movie and I don't care. That's really rude. I don't even care. Okay, Smile 2 has some really good parts to it. It has really freaky imagery. It is horrifying in many ways, and it's impressive in many ways. Can I put this safely on S or A tier? No, because if someone puts this on and the dialogue is the way it is, they're gonna think of me and say, oh, she thinks this is a really good movie. I don't. The dialogue is ridiculous. It's ridiculously stupid. The concepts, the plot is great. It needs to go on B tier because I might rewatch it. It rocked my show, rocked my world. The practical effects rocked my ass off. But like, I can't safely just be recommending Smile 2 to everyone. That's gonna tarnish my reputation. So I'm not doing that, but it is a good movie. It's going next to Heretic because they're good movies, just have a few things that need to get fixed for me to put them in the higher tiers. Is it a better movie than Y2K? Yeah. It's a better movie than Y2K. Still not going up there because Y2K didn't make as many mistakes as this one did, if that makes sense. Late Night with the Devil, you'll see it, it's in D tier. This is not because of the movie per se, as much as like the extreme conflicts I have with this movie. Them using AI in the movie made me so annoyed that I literally couldn't enjoy it. When it first started playing, the intro was so immersive and like the 70s vibe, they got a lot of it really well. They got a lot of the costuming really good, and I loved the film camera, and I loved the main actor is great. He's a horror icon, we know. But the AI, the minute that the first illustration popped up on the screen, actually, it was the background sets I think I saw first, the illustrated background sets, disgusting. It looked like shit. And it's really disrespectful for everyone involved on a movie set to cheap out as fuck on generative AI illustration. At least use generative AI photos. Illustration is so obvious. I'm an artist, that's my job, is to do graphic design and like illustration and stuff, and it's just like so disrespectful. I hated that they used generative AI. I hated they didn't apologize, and I hated that no one from the production studio said anything about it because it is extremely disrespectful to all movies. It's rude and I did not enjoy it. So it's going in D. The movie was all right. Just I'm not spending my money on watching that again. I'm not even gonna recommend it to anybody because I'm pissed. The Substance, it's going in S tier. We know that already. The cultural significance of this movie cannot be understated. If you live under a rock, everyone has seen this movie and everyone is talking about it. And I think that this success of The Substance is going to pave the way for hundreds of movies in production that probably never would have gotten a chance because they're gross or they're horrific. So let's pour one out for The Substance. Thank you, The Substance. Okay, Uglies was a Netflix original movie that came out, and it was a movie adaptation of a dystopian series that I read when I was a kid. And I cannot underestimate how bad this movie is. My favorite part was when the dystopian society, like overlords, were fighting four teenagers with hoverboards, 4 people against a giant high-tech army, and they were winning and they won or something. Let's get a grip. What age group is this movie for? The ranking of the Platform 2 cannot be misinterpreted with my love for the Platform 1. Platform 1, I've watched many a time. I think it's so perfectly gross and perfectly disturbing and entertaining for me. I just love it. The Platform 2 was literally like a Michael Jackson music video mixed with like a dark, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like a story that they made as disgusting as humanly possible with no real plot. It made no sense. They were just like piggybacking off of everyone said, The Substance is so gross, it's so scary. And they just made a scary, gross movie mixed with a Michael Jackson music video, and that's it. Did not like it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And then at the end, when you're sucking up the movie and you just finished the movie and it was like, wow, that was a movie. At the end, it says on the screen, still have questions? Watch the platform. So the Platform 2 wasn't enough of an indicator that there's a Platform original, so you had to create an end credit scene to direct people to watch the original because the movie didn't make any sense. Okay, Longlegs is going in A tier because I love Nicolas Cage. I think the movie has really great elements to it, but the plot just really fell off, and I feel like it could have used a different something. It could have used a little judge. It was a good movie, yes. And was it thematically gorgeous? Yeah. Was the marketing on point? Yeah. So it's going in A tier, but it's not perfect by any means. And I honestly am considering putting it in B tier, but a movie of that caliber with that cast and with the acting, I can't. It's so incredible. It's just such a good movie. And I will rewatch it. I watched it like probably 3 or 4 times by now, I think. Just when I was doing my video, I have to rewatch the movie a couple times. Crumb Catcher is a movie that I got the experience to do an interview with the director of it, which was so cool because this movie is very, very good and it is very scary. And he said that on set it felt a little bit like haunted because like the place that they were shooting it in had a weird vibe to it or whatever. And it actually comes through in the movie. Like, this movie has a really unsettling vibe and it gets really dark, and I have to say that makes it so interesting to me. It just has like another bit of lore that I really find interesting. But I can't even describe you the plot. You're just gonna have to go watch it because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so satisfying. So it is going in A tier. It's What's Inside, underrated banger. It's not perfect because it's a Netflix original, which I need to reiterate, Netflix is bad at making movies. They're not good at making movies anymore. It's What's Inside is really good though. I actually had fun watching it. I will rewatch this again. I recommended it on one of my movie lists and I stand by that. Caddo Lake is going in C tier because honestly, I'm sick of everyone. Everyone is on TikTok saying, "This is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. What's going on? What's reality?" How about you put on something else about reality shifting and not Caddo Lake, because Caddo Lake is so fucking loser bad. I'm so mean today. I'm really trying to be nice. I don't like the taste of Diet Coke after I got COVID. So this is cranberry juice mixed with other juices that I put in a jug and I'm just mad about that. I'm mad about so many things. Caddo Lake is not a good movie, and I don't even care what anyone says. I think people got caught away with the charm of Dylan O'Brien and said, this is really good. Cuckoo with Hunter Schafer, I was severely disappointed. I haven't been that disappointed in a movie in the longest time. I was so excited because I love Hunter Schafer as an actress. Just counting down the days to see this movie. It looks like it's going to be really good. Horrible movie. Disappointment. Okay, not horrible movie. That's so dramatic. The plot doesn't make sense to me. I don't get a lot of it. I just felt super bored and underwhelmed when I was watching it. I'm not going to rewatch it, and I feel like so many of the scenes were unnecessary, and so many of the scenes could have held deep fear for the audience, and it just was like boring because it just wasn't done in the best way. But it is still a great production. Like, it's produced beautifully, and I can't put it any lower than this because of the value of the movie. It felt like they were trying too hard or something, but they weren't going all the way. You're seeing Trap in tier A, and that's not a mistake. And I would like to talk about three of the common criticisms and then 3 of the reasons I like it. Number 1, they say the acting is bad, and like especially M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, who got the job through nepotism. Usually that makes me extremely mad, but she did a really good job. And people are saying, well, she like seems shallow, or like she seems kind of like airheaded in the movie. She's literally a pop star. It's like if you put any kind of pop star in the role that she was put in real life, she would act that way. It was realistic. Then number 2, people are like, oh, the twist was so obvious. There was no twist. Just because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie doesn't mean that there's a twist. People were saying like, oh, the music's bad. Like, first of all, I wasn't a huge fan of the music, but it seemed realistic to me to what a lot of pop music sounds like. Like, it did seem realistic. And I had a great time watching this. I was so entertained. I felt like it was a fun thriller. I feel like all thrillers just get straight to streaming. I had the most fun time in the movie theater watching this. I don't know how good it would be at home because there's so much singing and like you might need to be in the theater to experience it, but a lot of this A tier is just me having to explain myself because people aren't liking the movies. But Arcadian is maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And it's an apocalypse movie with Nicolas Cage, which is my perfect situation. But it's going in D tier with the caveat that the monster design is the best I've ever seen. From like a CGI monster tier list, Arcadian Monster is number one. I swear to God, it was very scary. The monsters are freaky and not just like cool. Like I feel like people make monsters look cool and they're not scary. These were scary and I really liked that. I really wanted to see the monsters because they were really scary. So it's going in D, but it is worth a watch if you like monster design. Listen, Mads is going in S tier. You give me an original zombie movie that's shot in one take with a phantasmagorical setting, I'm in. When there's a scene where one of the girls who this other girl's friends with is on a bike on like a moped and they're driving down the road, the girl slowly turning into a zombie and like saying slowly more weird shit and that her friend deciding if she should abandon her or not. Literally love. That is my favorite thing. I love scenes like that where it's like total darkness of the human psyche and then it's like you get to analyze like what would someone have to say to make you think that they were being weird and zombie-like. Love. It was just really impressive and I think this one's on Shudder. Humane is going in B tier with the other movies that I maybe will watch again. I feel like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I took a gummy before I watched it for the first time and I was having so much damn fun and I was having such a good time and I was sweaty because I was kind of like freaked out and scared and I thought the relationships were so interesting. I can't safely put it on S or A because I don't know how good my judgment was. I can safely put it on B, safely, but S or A, I don't know. I need to rewatch it. I think it's Cronenberg family. I think Caitlin Cronenberg made it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not gonna fact check that. She did a really good movie, great directorial debut, and really, really fun concept like to watch, not to be in, for sure. I think as a society, we should just forget that Time Cut even got released. That's going right to E, and it is an affront to all of the I don't know if it's a Freaky Friday situation, but it's definitely like a time switch, meeting your mom in the past situation. It's an affront. It's so horrible. Why are the people dressed in 2024 H&M if they're supposed to be in the 90s or like the 2000s? Or the 80s? I don't even know. I don't even know what they were trying to do. That's how bad it was. Lowlifes is like a slasher thriller kind of thing where there's a huge plot twist, and if you watch the first 10 minutes of the movie, you'll know the plot twist. It's very, very in the beginning. I think it is so disrespectful to the human race just because the relationships make no sense. Specifically, there's like a killer family unit. That has never happened. And I know not all horror movies need to be like what, not all horror movies need to be realistic, but a couple, like a husband and a wife or like a partnership doing like a lot of killing and slashing and stuff totally has happened. An entire family just cool with like killing people, that's not really happened ever. I am very much into like crime psychology, not so much true crime content, but I really like to read about and research forensic psychology, and that's just not a thing that happens. Like, it's so dumb. It's like, it's maybe it would be fun to watch this if you knew nothing about anything, but I just thought it was so like annoyingly stupid. Civil War is not everyone's favorite movie. I know a lot of people were saying that it wasn't taking a side properly. I don't really want to get into specific politics stuff on my horror rundown video, but Civil War was, I don't think that it didn't take a side on anything. I think it was very obvious, like the destruction that war causes, and it was very much anti-war. That's what I thought. And I thought it was like a very like interesting insight onto the journalistic view of war and like how we kind of, as people that are not active in changing things, how we kind of become that kind of third party that is just viewing and not being able to really do anything or doing anything. That is scary. That is a scary fucking movie, and that's like a warning. If you're an American or you grew up in America, to see monuments and I think there's a really crazy scene with like the Lincoln Monument. To see shit like that destroyed is crazy. It's like really kind of puts it into perspective how important it is to have order and peace, genuinely. And then that goes into what does order and peace mean? And people are saying it's a little bit cloudy there with the movie's like purpose, but I think it's very anti-war to me. I think Alex Garland gets a really misunderstood rap. I saw the TV Glow. I'm not putting it in C because I'm any kind of against the message of it at all. That's not why I'm putting it in C. I'm putting it in C because when I watched it, I felt extremely disappointed. And it is beautiful. Like, the message is beautiful. I love this director's other movie. I like it a lot more. But the movie itself seemed like, when I really thought on it and sat on it, it seemed underwhelming and it seemed a bit pandery, the same way that Cuckoo was. Like, I don't like it when movies are trying to sell me a girl boss image or to sell me an iconic image. I like it to just happen naturally. It was cosplaying as a movie that it's trying to attract a certain audience, and that to me seems a little kitschy and a little bit corny. And that's a totally subjective view of the movie. Totally probably wrong. I felt like it was kitschy a bit. And I honestly, same thing with Cuckoo, the word is kitschy. Felt kitschy, didn't feel like I had to really dig for the meaning, and I like it when I have to dig for it because then it feels more powerful. I feel like the more obvious the meaning is of something, the more kitschy it is. I'm not going to talk about Borderlands. You can find out about Borderlands for yourself. That's going in below E. I wish I had a tier that was poop tier. That's going in the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, maybe. And I'm not even exaggerating. Yes, Nosferatu's an S tier. We've seen it, we've talked about it. I think my Nosferatu review is my most popular review, so thank you for that. Like, very much appreciated that you care about my opinion. But Nosferatu's obviously like a perfect movie. Like, it's seriously perfect. It's so good. I'm gonna get some people mad at me. I'm putting Strange Darling in S tier. I just think it was so inventive and it felt fresh and it was like so good. And it's a perfect example of making some iconic costuming and imagery without making it too obvious. I think it's not for everyone, but I really did like how they portrayed a truly evil, kind of, not evil, psychopathic person. I think evil is like undercutting it, you know? I think portraying a psychopath who revels in like doing bad things to people is really hard to do. And Strange Darling did it. Knocked it out of the park. Really telling of how audiences reacted to it, I think, when they were like thinking it was a bit misogynistic because a woman was being evil. But women can be psychopaths, and it's like, I think the more that people know that, the more you can look out for that. It's not gender specific. Like, psychopathy is not gender specific. And I almost don't want to say psychopath because that demonizes psychopaths, but people that don't feel empathy and enjoy doing bad things that doesn't discriminate based on gender. Yes, there are more male serial killers, but there are female ones, and there are female people that have done horrible things. So Strange Darling was really scary and really bleak and dark, and I really liked it though. I have to put an S tier, I fear. Red Rooms, I actually just got to watch today. It was my last movie I wanted to watch for this video because it was like the one that I really wanted to see all year. It got released in 2024, obviously. I don't know what it is about French people making the best movie ever. Red Rooms has basically no gore in it, which you wouldn't expect for the title, but it's so disturbing. Deeply disturbing. One of the reviews said it was like a David Fincher movie, and it is. This is like a David Fincher movie. It's about crime. It's a lot about the legal system. My favorite kind of movies involve everything Red Rooms involves. There's a lot of like dark web kind of hacker stuff. It's a breath of fresh air that all of the stuff she was doing on her computer made sense, and it was for an audience that kind of understood what she was doing, because I feel like if you were like not really versed in even searching things online, it feels like a lot of people cannot search things online. if you're not versed in that, you can't understand what she's doing and the movie will fall flat. So it's for a specific audience, but I found it so tense. I was skipping through some scenes because I needed to see what happened because I was so freaked out. So if that doesn't tell you how good it is, you know, like for me to be skipping around because I'm scared, yeah. Oddity was very scary. It's going in A tier for me because it's not perfect and I would have liked it to be filmed on a film camera, to be honest. And the guy with like the one eye is a little bit corny, yeah. There's a scene in here that was horrifying. And if you can catch this in the theater, I don't know if they're gonna do kind of a rerun or if you have a local theater, but if you can catch this in its full glory, you need to catch it in its full glory because I was terrified. I was like holding on to my seat. I was scared. I have to give it an A tier. And I did a review on this movie, so if you want to actually hear my thoughts, you can watch my review. Okay, The Crow is maybe one of the worst movies of all time this year, but I've watched it 3 times. It's the funniest movie in the entire world. Yes, it's an affront to the original movie. Yes, it's disrespectful. Is it the funniest movie I've ever seen? And I pop that on? Yeah. Yeah. I just want to read you a little quote from memory. I'm going to recite a quote from memory that is the first like 15 minutes of the movie. The female character that's like the lead, she says, "What's the hardest tea to swallow?" And he's like, "What is it?" And then she's like, "Reality." Weirdly good soundtrack and weirdly good action scene. There's like a 10-minute action scene in the middle of the movie that's so good. Rest of the movie is buns. It's buns. But I recommend it. I actually recommend it. I'm giving you should go watch The Crow. Okay, honestly, my S tier is filling up. I just put Furiosa on S tier. I might need to be a little bit meaner because like, okay, Furiosa, one of my top 10 faves. It's on my top 10 favorite movie list on Letterboxd. So I am really biased. Is it an S tier movie? Maybe not. Has it entertained everyone I've recommended it to? Yes. And is it extremely fun to watch? Yes. And is it gory in all the right ways? Yeah. I saw it in theaters 3 times. Like when it was in theaters, I went and saw it 3 times. I'm obsessed. I think there's some deeper cultural or like film analysis I could go into about why I like it so much. And it has to do with like, even in the most masculine dominated like society, they still like have fashion and stuff, which is interesting. I think stuff like that is really fun to analyze, but I'm just popping it on to get my enjoyment factor in because it's so enjoyable. Love Lies Bleeding, I kind of want to switch VHS Beyond with Love Lies Bleeding, and I'm gonna switch it because Love Lies Bleeding deserves S tier and VHS Beyond has some shorts that aren't perfect. Love Lies Bleeding is perfect. Even the ending, everyone's mad at a whimsical ending. Like, let's just relax. It's fun. And the gore in this and the disturbing scenes are so gut-wrenching and so chilling. I'm forgetting what production company does this. Maybe A24, but A24 does really, really good gore scenes in movies that have no reason to have that kind of gore in them. Okay, The First Omen is going in C. That's gonna piss a lot of people off because it's a technically brilliant movie. Like, its cinematography is perfect, and obviously it's based on a classic, but I did think that it was just like a total rip-off of the classic somehow. I know it's supposed to be like in the same story, in the same universe. It just seemed like it was not original. And I think a lot of people went and saw The First Omen and they were like, wow, this is so original. This is so cool. And then like they didn't realize that it was just a total rip-off of the first movie. But I hated the ending where it became like girl boss, like girl boss ending, instead of like a dark and dreary ending. Like the movie had the tone of, it became like a witch hunter vibe at the end somehow. And then I didn't like how there was a CGI demon at the end in the flames, like a CGI villain. Let's not show the villain in this kind of movie. I feel like let's just stay away from showing the villain because that makes it way scarier. 8 Eyes is going in D. It's a Shudder, I think a Shudder original. It really had me going because the beginning is so good. It's like you're on vacation, you get picked up by a strange person and you're probably gonna get killed and you guys get separated. Love it. Give me more. Beautiful font, beautiful intro. I was so excited. And then it just turned into a freak Bob fest where like it was totally freaky and totally disgusting with no real reason or rhyme. And there was so much scenes of me having to look at someone's. I was like, let's literally stop. Milk and Cereal is going in B tier and it actually probably deserves an A, to be completely honest, but it is not perfect because it is literally basically like a total indie production. It's on YouTube, you can go watch it, and I really recommend you do. It's a found footage movie that's actually scary and actually is realistic. The acting is so incredible. I don't know the YouTubers that made it like that. Like I'm not, I wasn't subscribed to them or anything, or didn't know them. It just popped up on my like feed on TikTok. People are talking about it, so I watched it. I think when like Bo Burnham said that YouTube should be the next frontier for like media and people releasing media that isn't getting funded, this is what he meant. I need more people doing this. Like just pick up a camera and make a movie, because this movie is better than like the movies on the bottom of the tier are billion dollar budget movies. Milk and Cereal clears. I think just if you want to be a director, just make your movie now, because I will watch it. My camera literally died. Died at the perfect time though, because I was actually done with my rankings. This is my final ranking. I'm going to put it up here. I also added a few when I was deciding whether to charge my camera. I'm like, did I watch a few more? Added a few. This is my final. You can argue with me because I'm probably wrong. But I just want to say thanks for watching and I hope you have a great night. Peace and love.